eligible Marion County High School is invited to nominate one qualified member of its senior class for these awards. The nominee is to be one whose success in and out of the classroom while overcoming adversity, environmental, physical, mental, or emotional, is an inspiration to others. The application process consists of a written record of the student's accomplishments, activities, and academic performance, a personal essay by the student, one or more letters of recommendation, and an interview with our Abe Lincoln Committee. We thank all the dedicated teachers, counselors, and administrators for their help in this process. Well, we're now ready to introduce each of our students as members of the 2020 Circle of Valor. Our club is part of Kiwanis International, a global volunteer organization dedicated to serving the children of the world. Here with us today is Kevin Rowland, 2019-2020 Governor of the Indiana District, and Martin Furnish, 2019-2020 Indiana District of Kiwanis Governor-elect. As each of you are introduced, please come to the stage where our Kiwanis Club President, Graham Honecker, and our Kiwanis dignitaries will present you with your Certificate of Valor, and we'll get a picture of you. After all of our students have been introduced, we will then separately present the recipients of 4 monetary scholarships. So now I'm going to introduce probably the person you're more interested in than hearing than me, my cohort, Rafael Sanchez. Rafael is a Murrow and multiple Emmy Award-winning investigative reporter on RTV6. He's also the co-anchor of Good Morning Indiana and lead field anchor on breaking news and political coverage. He's community involved and community invested. Every year he enjoys participating in about 50 charitable events that raise thousands of dollars for awareness for organizations around central Indiana. And he's always up for a Latin ballroom competition that will benefit a charity. He's the son of immigrants from the Dominican Republic, and Rafael's focus on charities that champion education, promote self-empowerment and compassion, and encourages leadership and civic responsibility. Rafael came to Indiana from the Bronx, New York to attend Franklin College. He graduated with a triple major in journalism, political science, and Spanish. He's also a proud member of his alma mater's Board of Trustees. He's married to Beth, who's a kindergarten teacher, and has 2 wonderful children. Rafael.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a todos. Hey. This is a celebration. So this is my 2nd year doing this. I think the first year, I wasn't sure what I was doing because, I don't know. But then I was like, when they invited me back, I was like, yes, absolutely. You know, in an era of time when things can sometimes seem kind of weird and crazy, it's always good to be in a room, first and foremost, with a bunch of people in the Kiwanians who really are about service and giving back. So can we just give a round of applause for that? And then when I read the stories of these young people, I think to myself, what am I doing? Because these young folks at this tender age are just doing some amazing things. And I think the one thing we can all agree upon is that we can use this great generation of folks to bring love and heart and passion into this world. And so it is just, for me, this is my lunch hour, like your lunch hour, I need this hour. I need this hour as a human being to power me through the rest of the afternoon because these young people are simply amazing. So can we give all the young people that are in the room a round of applause? Now, I often tell people when I do these presentations that some of your names sound Spanish to me. And so you may not think they're in Spanish, but they're Spanish to me. So if I mispronounced your name, that's going to be okay because that's how I would say it in the Bronx. Or how I would say it with my mom in the Dominican Republic, right? So if it sounds in Spanish, work with me. It's all good. It's all good. Kiwanians are global. We're good. We're good. Our first recipient that we honor on this day. Adebolawa Adelekan, born in Nigeria and immigrating to the United States a little over 2 years ago. You see, he left his parents and came here with 2 boxes and a dream to succeed. Nigeria, you may not know, but it's one of the poorest countries in the world, with 1 of every 5 school children residing there. He enrolled in Arsenal Tech High School and had to overcome the racial prejudice against his coming from Nigeria. He could have kept isolated away from others, but he decided to get involved, and he pushed forward. This young man carries a 3.92 grade point average on a 4-point scale. His counselor said that he had exhausted all the classes available to him by the start of his junior year and decided to take advanced placement courses. He currently carries 7 AP classes in chemistry, biology, and calculus. He's also excelling in Purdue's Project Lead the Way curriculum in engineering and development. In addition to his academic pursuits, he participates on the track and field and cross-country teams. He was the vice president of the National Honor Society, a member of the Student Council. Sir, don't leave. So for the rest of you who are coming up here at this moment, enjoy the moment. I mean, I like a microphone. Marquis has the cameras on. You could take some selfies. I mean, you gotta just enjoy the moment. Sir, over here, and then since I am only 5, right? Hello, hi, how you doing? And since I'm only 5'4", you're all gonna tower above me. I mean, it's good, it's good. You just look that way and smile. See the camera? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like this, watch. You stand like this, and then like this a little bit, and just put your hand in your pocket. I have more to read about you, but she's from the Indianapolis Star, so you could be in the paper tomorrow. Smile at the lady, okay? Okay, here we go. Back at me, focus here. Over here, focus here, okay? We're here. So he co-founded the Multicultural Student Center Union to create a safe place for students from diverse backgrounds who feel alienated from the school environment. This young man has also participated in the Center for Leadership Development and volunteers regularly with the Ronald McDowell House at Riley Hospital. All this, and this young man just turned 17 in December. His goal, he wants to obtain a PhD in engineering and run his own charity organization. He told us that in Nigeria, success is determined by who you know, not the hard work you do. He worked hard, and of course, he has succeeded. He told us to each man is the option to forget everything and run, or risk everything and fight. This young man who stands before you, he is a fighter. He will succeed. He is a warrior. Please congratulate him. You heard his name in Spanish because I butchered it, right? But I told his family that I wanted to make sure that we heard it the correct way. I think it's always important to hear people's names the way they say it, even though the speaker may be limited in many capacities. So I want you to say your name proudly. Take your time. No one's rushing you, okay?
Adebowale Adelekun. It's from the Yoruba, the southwest of Nigeria.
So that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. It's hard being the first. The others will be much easier. Harley Taylor, Beech Grove High School. Wrestling has been key in the life for Harley Taylor. His principal wrote that he has developed into a bright and focused young man who really enjoys being part of the Beech Grove High School family. Harley told us that the idea of continuing his education after high school is something that only occurred to him in the last 2 years. He will tell you that he grew up poor in a single-parent home without positive role models in his family. a lot went on for him. Trauma, stress, just a whole lot. His community service through wrestling has led to a life-changing impact. Before wrestling for the Hornets, he started at the Beech Grove Wrestling Youth Club, and he wrote, "I know how powerful being involved in athletics can be for someone who has grown up with many barriers and traumas. It's also helped to build a sense of confidence in me," he wrote. "My coaches, other parents, and fellow wrestlers were part of that process." Today, Harley returns to the club volunteering as a leader and an instructor for the younger kids. It leaves him believing that he can make a difference. He wants to continue that kind of involvement professionally. See, here's the good stuff. Accepted to Marian University, the University of Indianapolis, and Indiana State, he is now considering a major in kinesiology or nutrition in preparation for a career in athletic training or physical therapy. Recently inducted into La Sociedad Honoraria Hispánica. I like that. By the way, that's the Spanish Honor Society. I travel with subtitles. He plans to minor in Spanish. All right, that's what I'm talking about. He has represented his high school in the Spell Bowl and the academic team, as well as working 20 to 30 hours per week. From Beech Grove High School, please congratulate Harley Taylor. Harley, you need to stand over here, because so listen, everybody. The Indianapolis Star, which you have to read and subscribe, she's going to be right here. So if you want your picture in the paper, don't look at me. Look at the Star. Yeah. Smile at her. She's a nice lady. Yeah. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Give him another. He wants more. Give him another round of applause, please. From Ben Davis High School, a giant, please congratulate Juan Cortez. Always active, during his freshman year, Juan couldn't understand why he would feel so weak playing a game of basketball or running during physical education class. After many medical tests, Juan was diagnosed with leukemia. He transferred to Ben Davis his sophomore year, his family moving to Indianapolis to get the best treatment possible for him. His care required many medical visits, making school attendance nearly impossible. Also, because of the risk of an illness and infection, homebound educational services were set up, involving online classes and weekly teacher visits to his home. The initial treatments, they were unsuccessful. And eventually, Juan underwent a stem cell transplant from his brother, a difficult process leading up to, during, and even after the procedure. But after some success, remission for a time, then reoccurrence of the cancer, then a trip to a specialty hospital in Seattle with all the resulting obstacles to his progress in school, but then remission again. Juan dealt with another month in the hospital again in September during his senior year. But through it all, he has maintained contact with his counselors, wanting to be sure that he was on track for graduation. Juan's family moved to the United States when he was 2. From his parents, he has learned the value they place on education and the importance for a better life. Despite his difficulties, he thought of others. He wrote this in his essay, in his own words. "My father had to work even harder because my mother had stopped working because of me. I questioned how we were getting through all of this and how my family was feeling at that very moment. All the attention was on me, but how did my brother feel? My father, my mother?" The words of a young man who cares. He now plans to attend Ivy Tech this fall. Ladies and gentlemen, señoras, señores y señoras, Juan Cortez.
want to take a moment to give some credit to my co-chair, Brandon Herget here, man behind the curtain, who's also helping out on the side. So thank you very much. Next, I'll introduce Shay Donnelly, Bishop Chatard High School. Shay Donnelly's relationship with her parents was always complicated. Marital problems, substance abuse, foster care, and eventually coming to live with her grandmother. Shay felt that as best they could, her mother and father loved her, but as a young person, had to come to terms with their faults and mistakes. Her father passed away when she was in the 5th grade. Shay wrote, "Although there will always be tough days where the memory seems stronger, I know that I have the ability to overcome the hardship. In the future, I hope to continue to accept loss and to see it as a new beginning." She has applied this principle well during her time at Bishop Chatard High School. Shay is recognized by her teachers as a strong leader and a diligent worker who goes beyond the assigned work to make sure she masters difficult material. She is proud that her GPA has continually risen each year, currently at 3.4. For example, from working hard to squeeze out a C in freshman Algebra 1, she doubled down, driving herself with extra work and study to be recognized Pre-Calculus Student of the Year as a junior. This year, Shay is manager of the cheerleading team, or more precisely, she went to the faculty and created the position of manager. Already a volunteer at Cathedral Soup Kitchen, her leadership this year included taking the senior cheerleaders for a day at this ministry. She participates in Best Buddies and tutors and coaches volleyball at her former grade school. Her counselor wrote, "She has earned consistent respect from her peers, in part because of how genuine she is. She plans to study sports management in college and wants to someday work in an NBA office. We hope it's with the Pacers. We don't want you working for the other side." From Bishop Chatard, Shay Donnelly. Next, I'd like to welcome Catherine Watson, Brebeuf Jesuit Preparatory School. Looking at Katie Watson, our nominee from Brebeuf, you would think she was just a normal teenager. But what you don't see is what inside her that she has to overcome on a daily basis. Katie has cystic fibrosis, a disease that affects your lungs and breathing. There is no cure for this disease, and it is terminal. Constantly coughing, having to take pills and do breathing treatments daily, the disease does take its toll on her. She has to spend weeks at the hospital from time to time, which puts her life on hold. But as she told us, the world around her does not stop. She has to catch up with her schoolwork. She does not like to tell people about her disease because she does not want anyone to feel sorry for her. Despite dealing with her disease every day, Katie has succeeded in school. She carries a 3.57 grade point on a 4-point scale. She wants to work in retail management in the fashion industry. And she told us that fashion provides her an escape from the disease. She's a member of the Healthy Lifestyles Club at Brebeuf to promote healthy eating and living. She participates in Party with a Purpose to raise funds for people suffering from cystic fibrosis, as well as the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation Walk. She's on the Caroline Sims Cancer Endowment Teen Board. She volunteers at the O'Connor House, a home for single mothers and their children. And she also works at Hot Box Pizza and babysits 8 to 10 hours a week. I'd be breathless just doing that. Katie's teacher, Tanya Harner, says Katie is responsible, resilient, and joyful. Matt Mayer, head of social studies, says that Katie reaches out to her teachers to make sure she keeps up with her schoolwork. Katie gets support from her family and friends to get through her trials. She told us, "We have learned that no day can be taken for granted because the future is unknown, and that is the scariest part of life." She does not take life for granted, but as you can tell, she grabs it by the horns and holds on. Thank you, Katie. I now introduce you to Jennifer Rosales, Cardinal Ritter High School. Growing up, Jennifer always seemed to experience an unusual amount of pain during ordinary activities, walking, standing, and just sitting at a desk. One of her legs is shorter than the other, to such an extent that ultimately, between her sophomore and junior year, her spine had developed an S-curve to compensate. Jennifer underwent a femoral osteotomy, a surgery to lengthen her short leg and relieve the pain. There were complications. A 2-month estimated recovery turned into 9 months, filled with fevers and leg infections. She was not able to return to school until November, but worked hard to make up missed work. Despite the setbacks, Jennifer has maintained a positive attitude. Her counselor wrote, "This attitude made a serious impact on her circle of friends. Never have I seen a group of students care for and support a friend in a time of need, from carrying her books to literally carrying her, figuratively and metaphorically." Another surgery was necessary this December. Despite missing so much time at Cardinal Ritter High School, she has maintained an honor roll status and is on track to earn an academic honors diploma. Jennifer will be the first of her family to attend college when she enrolls at Marian University this fall to study nursing, so she can help others as others have helped her through her medical issues. She's a student ambassador, serves in campus ministry, and mentors incoming freshman girls. From Cardinal Ritter, Jennifer Rosales.
From Cathedral High School, congratulations to Joanna Supiger. At age 14, the family life of Joanna was really upended when her father was paralyzed from the chest down in a vehicle accident. You see, Joanna had to grow up really quick as the family focused on the tragedy and on her father's recovery. Always close to her dad, JoJo, as she's known to her friends, was inspired by his attitude and response to his adversity, staying positive and working hard on his rehab. From 8th grade on, she took responsibility of her own schoolwork and schedule, taking on the chores around the home and becoming a communications sort of hub to report on her father's progress. It was especially meaningful for her to make the volleyball team all 4 years at Cathedral, as he had been her biggest fan since she started playing in junior high. When his health began to improve and allowed him to return to the sidelines close to her, of course, he was there to cheer her on. That was a great moment for her and for her family. She also remembers the outpouring of care and kindness by so many friends and family members after the accident. So she wrote this in her own words. "I gained an understanding of what it means to show compassion and empathy, and how important it is to try and find positiveness when obstacles are unexpectedly thrown in one's way." Besides volleyball, she volunteers at a nursing home, food pantry, and has continued being active in Girl Scouts in high school. A high honor student, Joanna always thought she would follow in her dad's footsteps and become an architect. But exposed to much more, exposed to those healthcare services because of the accident, she is now planning to study nursing or medicine in college. From Cathedral High School, on this day, we honor Joanna Supiger. Joanna, since I'm sure I also said your name in Spanish, I'm confident of it all. How do you pronounce your last name correctly? So just say your name like, there's the lady from the Star.
Yeah.
So like Taylor Swift, hold the mic and just say your name.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna give you the mic. The lady from the Star is there. You do you. There you go.
Joanna Supiger. This is good. Thank you so much.
From Decatur Central High School, the home of the Hawks, congratulations to Riley Lesh. So this young student came into the world 25 weeks premature with a 50% chance of survival. The first few years for Riley, you see, were a battle. There was heart surgery, many problems with undeveloped organs. She was first able to breathe and eat without assistance when she was 4 months old. She has overcome the physical problems of her early years and then some. She began participating in gymnastics as a child and has remained dedicated to that sport. Her advocacy led to the establishment of a gymnastics team at Decatur Central High School. She trains at her local club and also works with younger gymnasts, and she teaches and coaches special needs students. She hopes to start a Special Olympics team at her club. You see, she's tireless, giving back in gratitude for that early help that helped her survive. Through the end of the year 2019, she has attended 280 Riley Dance Marathons, averaging about 25 per year. She can dance. She also pitches in as the safety Sammy Raccoon mascot. Okay. At the Riley Hospital safety store. But listen, the rules around the mascot community is you can't say, "Riley, is that you?" because she has to be incognito. So do not call her out by her real name. When you see her out and about, just call her Sammy the Raccoon. Don't call her Riley, because people are not supposed to know who she is. So, following in the footsteps of her dad, a professional musician, she also plays the alto sax in the wind and jazz ensembles and has been recognized for her solo and group performances. You see, this young lady is an academic all-state athlete. She ranks in the top 7% of her senior class. She will major in exercise science in college and inspired by those who helped her when she was a child. Riley hopes to obtain her doctorate in physical therapy, and on this day, Decatur Central High School, the Kiwanis group is very proud to say, great job to Riley Lesh. From Heritage Christian School, we congratulate on this day, General Lynch. At the beginning of his junior year at Heritage Christian School, General Lynch felt increasingly weak and exhausted, consequently missing a great deal of school. You see, he was diagnosed with aplastic anemia, a rare autoimmune disease in which the body fails to produce enough blood cells of all types in the bone marrow. His condition required him to complete most of his junior year taking online classes, and he maintained impressive academic progress despite how weak he was at the time. So he returned to school, you see, in his senior year, but his blood cell counts began falling again. And so he requires continued vigilance and medical care with the weekly doctor visits. His counselor wrote this: "What is impressive is that most people probably don't even realize what he's facing. He prefers not to draw attention to himself and definitely doesn't want sympathy. Instead, he bravely forges ahead, refusing to give up on his goals. General has participated in basketball, football, the Center for Leadership Development, and 100 Black Men. He has organized a community outreach dinner at a local church and volunteered with ProAct. You see, ProAct is a group which performs services such as gardening and painting and cleaning for those in the community who need that assistance." This young man wrote, "Anemia most definitely opened my eyes. It showed me to cherish each moment you're given. It is a very serious disease that can make you or can break you. He says, I chose to let it make me. Ladies and gentlemen, on this day, from Heritage Christian High School, congratulations to General Lynch.
I'd like to welcome to the podium next Claire Snyder, well, to the stage, Lawrence North High School. The last couple of years have been very tough for Claire Snyder. During the summer preceding her junior year at Lawrence North, this excellent student, swimmer, and musician was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia and immediately hospitalized for intensive medical treatment. Initially, the prognosis was excellent, but the side effects were very rough for Claire. One of her drugs, besides attacking the cancer cells, also damaged peripheral nerves, impairing her reflexes, fine motor skills, and walking ability. Claire was among the unfortunate 2% for whom chemotherapy is not effective in putting the cancer into remission. Next came the difficult and isolating preparation necessary for a bone marrow transplant. After a first failure, a second transplant in January 2019 was successful in achieving remission. Her doctors anticipated January 2020 for a return to school. But as her counselor wrote, Claire had other plans. She was out on her walker every day doing physical therapy and swimming to build strength. This hard work enabled her to return to school for partial days this past September, almost a full semester ahead of schedule. Claire wrote, "I've embraced the idea that there is no match for strong will and a good attitude. Cancer took my junior year of high school, but it did not take my life. I know that life is a gift, and I have to make the best of it. I want my life to matter, and I want to improve as many other lives as possible." She also learned the importance of kindness and grace. Surrounded by other patients and families in terrible circumstances, she told us she saw people being so nice and helpful, and she knows that there are some who didn't make it. Rejoining her swim team was very important to her. Claire is in the top 10% of her class and would like to become a veterinarian and work in wildlife conservation. Claire Snyder, Lawrence North. Hannah Christian, Lutheran High School. Tenacious, possessing a positive attitude and a warm, friendly nature. This is how Hannah Christian of Lutheran High School is described by her guidance counselor and her campus pastor. At the age of 6, Hannah was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, bone cancer, and she was admitted to Riley Hospital for Children for treatment. To have the best chance at an active lifestyle, Hannah endured a radical surgery called a rotationplasty, months of chemotherapy, and learned to walk with a prosthetic leg. The leg is heavy and limits her flexibility, but despite that, Hannah has been a cheerleader for Lutheran High School for 4 years. In her essay, Hannah explained, "The sport of cheer requires you to build good character and cheer on others." She remembers how good it felt to have others cheering her on as she fought her battle, and cheerleading lets her pay it forward. A passionate supporter of Riley, Hannah speaks at Riley dance marathons, campaigns for awareness of childhood cancers, and mentors adolescent patients who are considering rotationplasty or facing amputations. Hannah says she begins each day with a grateful heart. She plans to pursue art and design in college. Ladies and gentlemen, Lutheran High School's Hannah Christian. Kyra Patterson, North Central High School. Our next student, Kyra Patterson, has overcome her family's struggles and achieved an academic excellence and attained a leadership position at North Central High School. She's also holding down a part-time job. She wrote that the day-to-day struggles her mother and family endured to guarantee that the lives of Kyra and her sister would be full of limitless possibilities instilled in her a desire to make her academic success a priority. She's also passionate about promoting a more equitable and inclusive community. That passion has driven her to use her leadership positions, such as vice president of the senior class and president of the Natural Hair Club, to advance equity and inclusiveness at her school. She is an accomplished, focused, and determined young woman who plans to study political science in college and aspires to become a lawyer and eventually a public servant. From North Central High School, Kyra Patterson.
From the South Side, Perry Meridian High School, Sui Len Parr. At the age of 5, Sui Len Parr fled her native homeland of Myanmar to escape the extreme persecution of her people, the Chin people, by the Burmese military. This was, of course, the beginning of an arduous, dangerous, and often terrifying journey lasting several years that would make her first trip to Malaysia, her first stop there, and ultimately bring her to Indianapolis. After making that difficult adjustment to life in a new culture, she flourished. As one of her teachers wrote, she is quiet, she is unassuming, but her work ethic and natural leadership and people skills have led her to excel. She has achieved outstanding academic success, ranking in the top 10% of her class at Perry Meridian High School, while also becoming a leader in her school. She is active and engaged in her church and her community, involved in many activities in the local Chin community. Her career goal after college is to become a successful businesswoman who can create job opportunities for families to have financial security. Ladies and gentlemen, on this day, we congratulate from Perry Meridian High School, Sui Len Parr. Which you heard in Spanish, but I want to hear this. Listen, I think one of the most beautiful things about our country is when we allow people not only to express themselves in English, which is fine, but also the other stuff, right? Which is the other language. So can you just say something in Chin, if you like, whatever it is, to these nice people? Like, it's good to be here, and my name is.
Okay.
Hold on, because the lady from the Stars watching. Yeah, you hold that. There you go.
Okay. Kai Lum Tuk, which means thank you. Kai Lum Tuk.
Say your name.
Oh, my name is Sui Len Parr.
Congratulations. From Pike High School, we congratulate Candace Wheaton Stallings. So as she walks up, her guidance counselor describes this student as a sweet, humble, spirited young woman, always looking to help improve the quality of life for others. Candace learned compassion and the value of her own worth from the woman she loved and called mom. She drew upon that inner strength developed in that caring environment when her mom died suddenly when Candace was 9 years old. And again, as she coped next with the passing of her beloved grandparents and then the loss of her brother, which was when she was in the process of becoming her legal guardian. Despite that, she has endured, and perhaps because of that, she has experienced many things in her life. She learned how to persevere. She works 20 hours a week. She plays varsity sports and volunteers in her community. She has maintained strong grades, and she plans to become a licensed school social worker. It's her ambition to counsel future students who are experiencing physical, emotional, mental setbacks like the ones she did, to help them dig deep inside, to help them find that strength to keep them going when they need it. Candace told us in her own words, "The greatest lesson I have learned from my past is that sometimes you have to look to the past, your current condition, and then look into what you want in the future, what you want that to look like, and figure out how to get there. Ladies and gentlemen, from Pike High School, Candace Wheaton Stalling. From Roncalli High School, congratulations, Paige Moore. In the words of her principal at Roncalli, Paige Moore has earned the respect of countless people. Her classmates, her teachers, her friends, administrators, even legislators, not-for-profit leaders, and many others, through her strong, resilient demeanor. You see, Paige has to deal with severe hearing loss, which causes her chronic migraine headaches. She also has to deal with ringing in the ears and nausea. However, she has not allowed these obstacles to stand in the way of her accomplishing her goals. She has earned an excellent academic record and has been active in a number of extracurricular activities, including she found Roncalli's Sign Language Club, while also maintaining a part-time job. Most impressive, perhaps, were Paige's successful efforts. This young lady, she lobbied the Indiana State House for passage of legislation that would benefit students by allowing them to attend classes at both their traditional schools and the Indiana School for the Deaf. Paige testified at committee hearings, spoke before legislators, and contributed valuable input on the language of the legislation. Pretty special stuff for a very special, talented young woman. So on this day, of course, it is your honor, our honor, to be in front of her. Please congratulate, from Roncalli High School, Ms. Paige Moore.
We next salute Asia Guerrero, Southport High School. Childhood for Asia was difficult, but ultimately, court supervision placed her with an aunt, the woman who accepted her, loved her, and cared for her. This is the lady who Asia called Mom, and the person who instilled in her the idea of doing her best. In 8th grade, her mother was diagnosed with lung cancer. Asia was her primary caregiver until she passed away 2.5 years ago. Now living with her cousin, she is finishing her senior year in Southport High School's School to Career program, taking classes in the morning and working a full-time job. She has already been promoted to additional responsibilities at a restaurant job. Accepted at IU Bloomington, IUPUI, and Ball State, she plans to study computer science and informatics. Her inspiration is her mother's memory, and she continues to do what she can to make her proud. She wrote, "I encourage others who have experienced loss to know it's okay to cry. It's okay to miss someone, but don't allow that grief to consume you. Stay strong and keep your head up. It's all we can do in their memory to keep persevering and fighting for what we want in life." Ladies and gentlemen, Asia Guerrero. Our next student is Kelsey Fry, Speedway High School. Cooking dinner, cleaning the house, and changing diapers and making sure your siblings did their homework would be a lot for any student. But what if you were only 6 years old? Kelsey Fry, our applicant from Speedway High School, knows what it's like to live this life. She was raised by divorced parents, and the home life wasn't the greatest, but even though she moved around a lot and now lives with her prior babysitter who has adopted Kelsey and her 3 younger siblings, she's overcome all what she's experienced early in life and succeeded. She carries a 3.72 grade point average on a 4-point scale. She's been a baseball manager, captain of the color guard, and a member of the advanced choir. She's a member of Kiwanis Key Club and the National Honor Society and plays on the tennis team. She volunteers and takes sack lunches to the homeless. She's a 21st century scholar, will graduate with an academic honors diploma, and wants to study criminology. Her college of choice is Butler. Her school counselor, Misty Davenport, says that Kelsey has planted herself firmly and blossomed into a wonderful person full of possibilities. Kelsey's Spanish teacher remains impressed by Kelsey's resilience, maturity, and strength. She challenges herself by taking several advanced placement classes. And when asked what she would tell younger children in circumstances that she experienced in her early life, she says, "Stay strong. It gets better." In her essay, she said, "Throughout everything I've been through, knowledge has been the one thing that has stayed by my side no matter what." And we feel that Kelsey will use that knowledge to give her and those around her a better life. Thank you. Welcome now and recognize Cortland Jackson, Warren Central High School. Cortland has fought every day of his 17 years to experience a normal, active life, playing the sport he loves despite having severe hemophilia. People with hemophilia often can't form normal blood clots to stop bleeding, and because of this, bleed for a longer period than people without hemophilia. People with severe hemophilia not only experience bleeding following an injury, but also experience frequent spontaneous bleeding episodes, often into their joints and muscles. Cortland tells us that for 15 years, he was on a medication that required him to get shots every other day. Now his treatment is a weekly shot in his stomach. Despite frequent hospitalizations and many days when he's had to miss school, Cortland plays 3 sports: baseball, basketball, and tennis. And he serves on the student council. Many individuals with hemophilia aren't able to do what Cortland does. In his essay, he wrote, "I had a choice to give up and let hemophilia win, but instead, I decided to fight, and I am proud of where I am now." With his skills in time management and organization, Cortland takes advanced placement and dual credit courses and maintains strong grades. He plans to study sports management in college. Ladies and gentlemen, Cortland Jackson of Warren Central High School. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for the inspiration you've given to us. This year, the Kiwanis Foundation of Indianapolis has again provided a grant in the amount of $41,000 to award scholarships to 4 of these students. Each is payable in annual installments equal to 1/4 of the total scholarship. The first place scholarship in the amount of $16,000 is payable at $4,000 per year. The total of the second, third, and fourth place scholarships are $12,000, $8,000, and $5,000 respectively. In addition, each of our other students being recognized today will receive a $250 award. The $250 awards will be available for you to pick up at the end of the program. With today's scholarships, the Kiwanis Foundation of Indianapolis has distributed more than $1,130,000 in financial assistance through the Abe Lincoln Awards program. Each student will be introduced by a member of the Abe Lincoln Scholarship Committee. After each of our recipients has been introduced, please come forward. You'll be presented with a plaque and interviewed by Raphael. Okay. All right. Diane Nichols will introduce the recipient of our 4th place $5,000 scholarship honoree.
This is quite an honor. A definition of fear, as described by Webster, is having feelings of anxiety, agitation, caused by the presence of danger, evil, or pain. Having feelings of dread or fright. This definition fits about the last 12 years of the life of our fourth place Abe Lincoln Scholar. She wrote in her essay, Fear dictated our lives. We lived in fear of mutilation, rape, and burnings by the Burmese military. We suffered pain and humiliation in my own homeland, Myanmar. Things were so bad that her parents left her in Myanmar with her grandmother while they sought help from authorities in Malaysia. Sacrifices had to be made to reach the place her people called the Holy Land, that is, America. It wasn't easy for her to be left. They lived in poverty with few clothes to wear and little to eat. 3 years later, the time came for our scholar to make the dangerous journey from Myanmar to Malaysia to meet her parents. They left on foot. She went with 2 strange women traveling through the jungle. Life was not guaranteed. She saw bodies along the way that had died of starvation, exhaustion, and suicide. She was too young to remember this entire trip, but wise enough to know that this trip was very dangerous. She feared for her life and for the lives of those who were with her. She was reunited with her parents in Malaysia, where they waited together for 3 years to receive the proper refugee status to come to America. She finally knew that this was what freedom from fear felt like. Now, in Indianapolis, our scholar still feels a little isolated. Only time will make it clear to this teen that she has the freedom to appreciate and immerse herself in 2 cultures. Hardships will continue to exist, but now she is free to set her path ahead, to learn and not to live in fear. Today, our recipient maintains a 4.199 GPA. She's a smart little girl, and will earn a Core 40 diploma with academic honors. She has indeed immersed herself and has been successful in many activities. I counted 14 altogether. Some include the Mayor's Student Leadership Council from this year. She's a board member of the World Languages Club. She has been an interpreter and a teacher. She has served as volunteer for the Red Cross. She was chosen as a delegate for the American Legion Auxiliary Hoosier Girls State Program. I'll let her explain that to you. It's a long story. She is a member of the National Honor Society. Our scholar loves photography, and she loves her neighborhood church. She awaits word from 3 universities where she will study pre-law and human rights. She told us when she was leaving our interview room that assimilation should not be forced, but a balance can be found between cultures. She said, I know that there are many deserving candidates here today. I want to thank you for this opportunity to share my story. Will you join me in welcoming to the stage our 4th place, $5,000 Abe Lincoln Scholarship recipient, Suilin Parr from Perry Meridian High School.
Congratulations. So I'm just kind of wondering, from your experience, what do you draw from the immigrant experience? Someone who has come so far, and there's still so many issues in Myanmar today. But can you give me an idea what drives you based on what you've been through?
First of all, I would just like to say thank you so much for this opportunity and for the scholarship. From my experience, I would just say that what drove me the most was the sacrifices my parents had to make. They left their hometown, they left their families behind. Sorry. I still have my grandmother and my grandparents are still in Myanmar right now. And it's just the fact that my parents are willing to leave behind their life so that their children could receive, the freedom and the education and the life that they've always dreamt of is what drove me to, to persevere and to, I guess, to just move straight on and forward.
In the last few seconds we have together, can you share with us in your native language the message you would give to that young woman or that young man that, as you pointed out in your remarks, wants to come to the Holy Land? And for many people across the world, this still remains the beacon of hope. The Statue of Liberty is in New York City Harbor. What would you say to them? Someone who says, I see what she's done there on the city's south side. I want to be like her. I'd like to hear that in Chin and then translate a little bit in English. But for the rest of us, who are, not as quick on Chin just yet.
Okay, I'll go ahead and say it in my native language first. Pakanda chim kadu mijo, kanura kampani vetlukanda kandot timi kapilhau. La Zitlukman in her nakanton go zonga, barang ramasi tibatukin kan, kama mi pun kan sina kazetik manapil hau, kama mi pun kan sina kanan tape and go siya jun, malay zonga nanunak sa san natim to mi jatlam ting di ko latin kan chimtakadu kailom. And in English, I would just like to say that to never forget who you are and your culture and where you came from, because if you keep those three with you, I know for a fact that one day you'll succeed, just like me and just like every other students in this room. Thank you.
Scott Harkness will now introduce the recipient of our third place $8,000 scholarship.
Why me? I used to ask myself, why me? Our third place award recipient asked these questions, and then she answered them. My mother was my whole world, and I was hers. I knew she wasn't my real mom, but God sent me to her, which made me hers. Our candidate is describing her aunt. The student was living with her aunt because her biological mother suffered from bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and was in jail in California. Then, when our student was just 9 years old, the woman she knew as her mother passed away from a heart attack. She and her 5 brothers went to live with their grandparents, who tried to make middle school as normal as possible. Her grandmother died from complications with diabetes during Thanksgiving of this student's freshman year. Her grandfather tried to continue caring for her, but suffered from a heroin addiction, causing Child Protective Services to remove her from what she believed to be a safe home. Instead, she was placed with an alcoholic aunt and fell into deep depression. Then the aunt sought to be removed from the guardianship responsibilities, and the student was placed with an uncle. But it wasn't home. By age 15, she asked the judge if she could pick where she would live. She picked her recently married brother. During the process of formalizing the guardianship, her brother was murdered, making it the second of her brothers to be murdered. Then her grandfather fell into a coma with no chance of recovering. She had to help make the decision to remove life support systems, resulting in his death. Why me? Why me? She then began answering these questions. She poured herself into her studies, sports, and work. She works hard in her studies and maintains a 3.52 grade point average. She is a center fielder on her school's varsity softball team, and she works 20 hours per week in the fulfillment department of Target. Yet she still takes time to volunteer at Serenity Childcare, New Life Worship Center for her youth ministry, and helping to feed the homeless. The school counselor, Quiana Miller, writes, "To meet this student is to love her. To know her story is to fall in love with her." Ms. Miller described that her heart filled with joy and respect as she wrote the recommendation. Ms. Miller first became the student's counselor in 6th grade after the death of the student's aunt mother. Despite the counselor shedding tears over the student's plight, she described the student as not being angry or seeking pity, just the opposite. The sweet, humble, spirited young woman was and still is always looking to help improve the quality of life for others. Dr. Maggie Hernandez Bishop, an assistant superintendent in the school system, describes this student as exuding focus and determination. She is caring, respectful, and patient, and she became a leader among her classmates. Dr. Bishop further describes the student's tenacity and ability to see the positive, even in the darkest of days, as being a testament to those she has lost. It is without question that I know they are cheering her on and are so proud of what she has accomplished thus far. When thinking of this student, Dr. Bishop was reminded of a Maya Angelou quote, "But still, like dust, I'll rise." Her tenacity is infectious. She will achieve her goals and will not be subdued. During the interview process, we asked this student what advice she would give to some other person in her situation. Without any pause, she responded, "Don't lose your voice. Put one foot in front of the other, and life doesn't get easier." From the application, essay, and recommendations, we begin to see certain themes about this student. Yes, she's been through tragedy after tragedy, and yes, she has persevered. But additionally, we see all goals: tenacity, respect, patience, and compassion. She set goals. She has a tenacity and patience to achieve these goals. She respects those around her and strives to make their lives better. So during the interview, we asked this student what she would be at age 30. Her answer: happy, self-sufficient, have goals, and be a human being. And boy, will she. This student has already been admitted to Indiana University and IUPUI. She wants to pursue a degree in social work. Is it any surprise she wants to be a school social worker? She is willing to share her stories of physical, emotional, and mental setbacks with her future students. She described, "I still vividly remember how it felt to be taken from what I felt was a safe haven with little to no regard of my feelings or ideas. As a school social worker, I want to change that." Now the student resides with her widowed sister-in-law and 2 nieces, ages 1 and 2. Her sister-in-law shares her home, her heart, and her advice. And this student has answered, "Why me?" The greatest lesson I have learned from my past is that sometimes you have to look past your current situation and look into what you want your future to look like and figure out how to get there. As she told us, be very determined, don't make excuses, show up. The student has done all of that and more. We have no doubt that she will show up for her future students. And while she described her softball hitting style as often bunting because she is very fast, we think she hit a home run. And we think she'll do it again and again for her future students. Please join me in welcoming our 3rd place scholarship recipient to the stage. From Pike High School, Candace Stallings.
So I think most of us can agree that every life has a purpose. And you talked about voice. So what is your voice?
My voice is advocating for myself. It was a time that I didn't think my voice mattered, so I stopped talking, and that never changed my situation. So when I start advocating for myself, my situation changed.
That is a hard thing to teach even the oldest of people. So when you say advocating for yourself, if there's someone in this room who's thinking, daggone it, if she can do it, I can do it. But that first step is always the hardest step. So if there's someone sitting in silence here today and they're looking at something huge, how do you take that first step? What do you do? How do you act? I mean, like, I don't know what to do, but you're giving them power. So help me out. How do you take that first step if you need to be heard?
The first thing you do is step. you gotta stop thinking about it and you just have to act on it. If you think about it, it's never gonna be the right time to say, hey, I don't like that. You just have to say it. When you get the feeling, say it. It doesn't matter how you make the next person feel. You matter. You come first.
That deserves a round of applause. Final question for you. You were asked about, when you're 30, what that's going to look like. As you can see out in the room, most of us in this room are yet 25. Those of us that wear television makeup, I'm only 21. But where do you see yourself? Is it in that high school? Is it working with kids? Where is that voice going to be heard loudly in a couple of years?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but I see myself saving lives, just like being self-sufficient. I don't want to say that I'm somewhere or force myself to be somewhere. I just think I'm going to let life take its course, of course, setting goals, attaining my goals, just living life.
That's a perfect answer. Candace Stallings, everyone, please give her a round of applause.
The recipient of our second place $12,000 scholarship will be introduced by Tom Eubank.
My biological father and mother didn't want my sisters and me. Our second place recipient told us, my biological mother left my sisters and me in a dirty hotel room without food or water for days. She told us her biological mother made poor choices and was mixed up with the wrong people, who, when her mother didn't pay up, held guns over her children's heads until she paid them. Because neither parent wanted us, we would bounce between them. The brothers of my biological father's girlfriend repeatedly raped my older sisters, but suffered no legal consequences. Eventually, both parents decided it was too much trouble to take care of her and her sisters. She was placed with an aunt, someone who really cared for her. She called that aunt Mom. Mom became her hero and role model in our recipients. In our recipients' 8th grade, Mom was diagnosed with metastatic lung cancer. Our recipient became Mom's primary caregiver. Mom fought the cancer for 2 years, but then passed away. She told us, I felt abandoned again, but I know if she were here, she would be proud of what I am working toward. I encourage others who have experienced loss to know it's okay to cry. Stay strong and keep your head up. It's all we can do in their memory to keep fighting for what we want in life. The Scholarship Selection Committee was very impressed with our second place recipient's employment during high school. She works 20 to 35 hours a week year-round at a Texas roadhouse, not as a busboy, not even as a waitress, but as a host and door coordinator. As such, she supervises older roadhouse employees. The committee asked our scholarship recipient how she handles such a responsibility. She replied, I just do my job, and they respect that. Our second place Abe Lincoln recipient of a $12,000 scholarship keeps fighting for what she wants in life. It's my privilege to introduce Asia Guerrero from Southport High School.
Hello. You know, for a lot of us, superheroes are mythical people. You know, Spider-Man, Superman, Wonder Woman, the Avengers. But it seems like to me your superhero was just an amazing person. So how do you, in a world where we're also looking for mentors, right? We want people to lift us up and not give us a handout, but a hand up. How do you see a hero? Who does that person look like to you?
I think that kind of hero is just someone that always respects your choice and someone who always pushes for you to do your best. And someone who just wants what's best for you and someone who is willing to go the extra mile to help you out and someone who stops at nothing to get you what you want, even if it seems like it's impossible.
We are known for our Hoosier hospitality. Bring a Super Bowl, we can get thousands of people to come out. During tornadoes, neighbors come and help each other. During floods, there are no better folks than those that call themselves Hoosiers. But sometimes we just don't know how to help people. And so you've been through a lot. How do I help? How do I get connected? How do I reach out in such a way that I don't, say something wrong or make someone feel bad? Because I think people want to help. And I think through your life, there were those people that came and embraced you and loved you. This room is full of those people as well. And they have to go back home into their jobs, into their cubicles here in the next half hour. How do I open my heart up so that I can help someone like you or someone in my neighborhood that may be in silence, just waiting for someone to say, can I help you?
I think one of the best ways is to just listen, is to have that lending ear to be able to hear someone's situation and to not judge and to immediately say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Because we don't want to, this sounds bad, but we don't want to hear that you're sorry. We just want to know that you're here. Because everyone's going to tell you, I'm sorry. Everyone's going to say, I'm so sorry for your loss. Oh my goodness. But that's not what we want to hear. We just want to know that someone's there, that someone's ready to help. And sometimes just being that shoulder to cry on and just being that person who can give you the warmest hug is the best feeling in the world to someone who has been through something so traumatic. It's not what you say, it's your actions and what you do.
On behalf of all the people in this room, Asia Guerrero, we see you. Please congratulate her.
Marquis Rental and Staging is providing audiovisual support and staging for our program today. Today's event is being video recorded by LaCie Broadcasting's WHMB Channel 40. Each of our students will receive a DVD of today's program. Each student's individual presentation will be available on our club's YouTube channel. We'll have information out to you when that's available within the next couple of weeks. So special thanks to Marquis and Channel 40. I'd like to welcome Pat McCrory to the podium. She will introduce the recipient of our first place $16,000 Kiwanis APE Scholarship.
Hello. Our first place Abe Lincoln Scholarship recipient represents the true spirit and heart of Abe Lincoln. She has tenacity. She is an advocate both for herself and for others. She has the courage to take on the establishment and to change laws when they need to be changed. Our recipient describes her early childhood as doctor appointments and sitting in waiting rooms with her mom, being poked and prodded by doctors and having constant blood draws. Although she had a variety of medical abnormalities, the most prominent was her hearing loss. At age 4, she lost part of her hearing. By the time she was 12, she was diagnosed with Meniere's disease. Meniere's disease is described by the Mayo Clinic as a disorder of the inner ear that can lead to dizzy spells or vertigo, hearing loss, and ringing in the ear or tinnitus. Tinnitus is described by the Mayo Clinic as the perception of a ringing, buzzing, roaring, whistling, or hissing sound in the ear. Our recipient described the impact of her Meniere's disease on her as a profound hearing loss in her right ear and moderate loss in her left ear. She describes her world as being very quiet, but not silent, as the ringing was always there to keep her company in her quiet world. But her health condition did not stop her. It only made her stronger and more determined. She learned at a young age to lip read. She used her eyes to compensate for the job her ears were unable to do. She was constantly processing sentences, but this daily process required her to be alert at all times. She had to pay attention and lip read both her teachers and her peers. She had to replicate facial expressions when talking to people. The result was that she had to take daily naps when she arrived home from school exhausted. In addition to the Meniere's disease, she was diagnosed with chronic migraine syndrome and vertigo. Her physical symptoms made it difficult for her to make friends. She began struggling socially as well as academically. When she was required to do group work in school, she struggled. She could not hear her classmates and found advocating for herself to be disconcerting. Many of her peers perceived her as dumb or ignorant, since she could not hear what was going on and appeared to be clueless to her classmates. Even with these obstacles, she took AP classes such as AP Language and Composition, AP Psychology, AP Literature and Honors Level Mathematics, and she excelled. Her cumulative GPA is 3.767, and she will receive an academic honors diploma. Other academic honors and awards include the National Honor Society, Government in Action, Emily Lips Educational Scholarship, Silver Key in Scholastic Art and Writing, Student of the Month in the Religion Department. Even with all this, she wanted to achieve more. She decided that she wanted to attend the Indiana School for the Deaf. She was informed, however, that this would not be academically challenging, and in any event, a law in Indiana would prevent her from attending the Indiana School for the Deaf and her regular high school. Our recipient would not accept no for an answer, however. She developed a plan where she would split her school day and would take her core courses at her regular high school with challenging AP classes and would take her elective courses at the Indiana School for the Deaf. There, she would immerse herself in the deaf culture and develop social interaction with deaf classmates. With the help of her family and her high school principal, she was able to get House Bill 1420 written that would allow our recipient and others to attend the Indiana School for the Deaf or the Indiana School for the Blind, as well as the regular high school of their choice. In order to achieve this result, our recipient would testify in front of the Indiana House of Representatives and the Senate. She exhibited composure and fortitude in explaining to the House of Representatives how House Bill 1420 would help her and others who had similar struggles and wanted to achieve their goals. House Bill 1420 did pass and opened the way for this and other students to split their day in schools between a traditional high school and one for the deaf and blind students. But while she was attending not only these two schools, our recipient also worked. She worked anywhere from 15 to 25 hours per week as a sales associate and/or detailing cars. Her extracurricular activities included founder and co-leader of the American Sign Language Club and participant in the academic team at the Indiana School for the Deaf as well. Our recipient describes herself as living in two worlds, but notes that this has given her a kaleidoscope of perspectives. She is able to empathize with others who experience different medical abnormalities, and she wants to change society's negative perception of people with mental, physical, and psychological conditions. She has already changed the educational system, and she wants to do more with her life. Her educational goals include becoming a neurologist and American Sign Language interpreter. She notes that there are not many deaf doctors, and she wants to use her American Sign Language skills as she works with patients. She has been accepted at Michigan State University, and she's also applied at Yale and Johns Hopkins University. Ladies and gentlemen, our recipient has left a lasting can-do impression with our committee. That is why the 2020 Abe Lincoln First Place $16,000 Award is awarded to Paige Moore of Roncalli High School.
So I'm a little curious. When it was said you detail cars, what does that mean?
So I work at, I work at Hublot Chevrolet, and so I clean like all the.
Before she answers her question, which I think is really cool, can you come up? Because I think for those, come on up. Yeah, I want you to be part of the discussion because, right, it's a team effort. You sit, I'll stand. Yeah, you sit right there. I'll go out there. They don't, well, I'll stand next to you, right? So let's start it over again. Hold on. Yes, I like this. ¿Usted habla español, señor? So my favorite part of doing this kind of gig is I do a number of them, and the folks that sign rarely speak español. Y así me da mucho tiempo para hablar con ellos. And then they stop, like, what's going on? I laugh at them, they don't laugh at me, but it's okay. Can you ask her that in her resume, she details cars? What?
Yeah, so I work at Hublot Chevrolet, and so I just basically clean out the inside of cars. We don't do like customer service cars, we just do the ones that we sell. So if anyone wants to buy a car, I probably have detailed it.
So on a beautiful, sunny, warm February in Indiana, when you drive by the Capitol and you look at that rotunda, do you say, I passed the bill? Wow.
Yeah, actually the other day I was walking downtown, I was like, that building looks familiar, it's the state capitol. My mom and I had testified there, and I was just like, yeah, I remember testifying there and passing a bill. And just being able to see for the first time how the government system works and just how bills get passed, and just learning about how that works and being like, I did something. I was able to step my foot in that door and make a difference, make a change, even if it only affected a small community. I'm so proud that I was able to have that opportunity to do that.
So then how do you spell success? You have so much more to do. What does that look like for you? You mentioned just a moment ago that you think you've only helped a small group of people, but in reality, you've helped a whole lot of people that you may never meet. And so I think the ripple effect of what you've done not only empowers those people that you don't know or that you may know, but I think it also gives people in this room courage to say, well, if she can go and stand up there and talk to the Speaker of the House or the legislator, I'm 35, I could do that too.
I think success can be spelled in very many ways. I think the most important way is it doesn't have to be a giant change. It doesn't have to change the world or anything. Even if you can change just one person's life or one person's world, I think that's success. But to me, success is success in sign language because it's visual, so it's a success. That's another way of how I see success, but basically just changing the world and how you see it, changing one person's life whether that's just kind of smiling at a stranger who you can tell is struggling, or telling someone you can do it, you can get through this. Success.
Paige Moore, thank you so much. You and all the other students, young people in this room, are a success. And for that, we're very thankful on this day. And Paige, who is this person that is translating for you today? Sir, are you allowed to speak to me or no?
Technically, no.
I know, you broke the rules, yeah. But tell us who you are, because it's awesome what you do.
My name is Andy Rourke, and I'm from Luna Language Services.
Thank you so much. It's always good to hear folks. Eso es todo, gracias. That's all, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, Paige, Asia, Candace, Sui, and all the members of the Circle of Valor, congratulations. We are so very proud of each and every one of you.